Good morning. It's good to see so many of y'all here. It looks like almost everybody's here. A beautiful day. So I was looking for something to talk on. I couldn't really think of what to come up with. I had lots of different ideas, but nothing really seemed too well. And then I was reading in Proverbs, and I was reading Proverbs 31, and it just really struck me how these things, like, are we doing these things for Christ and God as it's written down, like for how a wife would be doing it for a man. And I guess I'll just kind of comment as I go down through the verses. Starting at verse 10 in the Septuagint, in chapter 31, it's rearranged a little bit, and so what's the way it kind of, because I guess of how it was divided in the Masoretic or something, they have it starting at 10, or it starts, that's where it's Proverbs 31. I think so. Who can find a courageous wife? Yes, such a one is more precious than valuable jewels. I guess I just thought, like, does God find us valuable? Are we living our lives in a way that we are precious to Him? Or is He like, well, this here's just another common person, The heart of her husband is confident about her. Such a one will have no need of good spoils. For she toils for the benefit of her husband all her life. I guess I was just thinking, like, is that, or am I living, my life for the benefit of Christ? Like, or is it for myself? And I guess one thing there in verse 11, like it says, such a one will have no need of good spoils. That didn't really make sense to me, so I looked it up in other translations, and it said more something like there will be no need of what was it? Like there will be no lacking of good things or something like that. So back to 13. After spinning wool and flax, she made it useful with her hands. She became like a ship that sails from afar, and it is she who gathers a livelihood. And she got up in the night and supplied food for her household and work for her attendants. After considering a field, she bought it, and with the fruits of her hands she planted the purchase. After strongly girding her loins, she strengthened her arms for work. She experienced that it was good to work, and her lamp is not extinguished the whole night. She extends her forearms to what is profitable, and she strengthens her hands at the spindle. She opens her hands to the needy and reaches out her fruit to the poor. I guess I just thought, like, do we experience that it's good to work for Christ and to work and labor in His things, and just general, I guess, being active and do we give to the needy? Do we share with those that are poor? And I guess, do we strengthen ourselves, for the work of Christ? Her husband has no concern for his household when he spends time somewhere, for all that are hers are being clothed. She duplicated cloaks for her husband, and for herself clothes of fine linen and purple. I guess the thought I had on that was like, not that Christ would necessarily leave us, but like, does he have to worry about us? You know, is it like, like if he were to leave, you know, metaphorically or whatever, or depart from us, would he be like Paul, like, you know, I'm just really afraid that, you know, wolves will come in and you guys are all going to go astray, or does he have confidence in us that we are there for him, or for the church? Her husband is admired in the gates, when he sits in the council with elderly inhabitants of the land. I guess my thought there was like, do we glorify, or is Christ honored, you know, through us, or, you know, through our works, through our life? She made linen garments and sold them, and girdles for the Canaanites. She opened her mouth cautiously and legitimately, and reined in her tongue. That verse there, verse 25, kind of stuck out to me, like, you know, are we cautious what we say? And do we speak, you know, with wisdom and knowledge, and not just randomly, and you know, keep our tongues under control? She is clothed in strength and dignity, and she was happy in her last days. The way she ran her household was careful, and she did not eat the bread of idleness. Verse 27, there was another one that kind of stood out a little more to me, like, you know, do we run what we're doing, like, do we do it carefully, or are we just, you know, kind of doing it as nonchalant, or just letting life go as it kind of ends up going? And you know, what do we do in our spare time? Or like, do we fill it with good things, or do we just sit around, you know, idle? And I guess, as we know, there's a proverb, or I'm not sure quite where it comes from, or I can't remember, but, you know, like, idleness is the devil's workshop, like, and it's, I think I would, with experience I've had, it's very true. Like, if you're just, you know, you're idle, say these days, you know, you're just don't have anything to do, anything good to do on your phone, you know, you're just messing around and stuff, like, it's easy to waste time, and even, you know, worse than that, you know, maybe get into some, I don't know, useless debates, or get into some evil stuff, since the phone has the ability to connect with that. She opens her mouth wisely and lawfully. Her compassion built up her children, and they became rich, and her husband praised her. I guess there, verse 28, I was just wondering, like, how do people, you know, I guess people in general view us? Like, do they view us as someone that speaks wisely and lawfully, and that we have compassion? I guess in this case I was thinking, like, how does this kind of compare, because God doesn't have any grandchildren, but, like, do we have compassion for one another? You know, like, is that like, are we built up with compassion for one another? And would Christ praise us for how we use our mouth, I guess, in this case? Many daughters have obtained wealth, many did mighty things, but you have surpassed and transcended all. All allurements are false, and the beauty of a woman is vain, but intelligent woman is spoken well of. Yes, let her praise fear the Lord. Give her the fruits of her hands, and let her husband be praised in the gates. I guess my thoughts on that was, are we spoken well of as someone that has integrity? Like, I don't know, I mean, intelligence, I guess, that's kind of maybe not as applicable, but do we have integrity? And does Christ get praised through our life and our speech and everything we do? So I guess that's all that I was planning to share, and feel free to add your own thoughts and comments, and I guess corrections if any of my thoughts are not wise and lawful.
Thank you, Brother Walter Jr. Now more than ever do we need Proverbs 31. I mean, just take a walk in Monette, Neosho, Springfield, with the immodesty and the worldliness that goes around Proverbs 31. Some people say, hey, no way, come on, give me a break. This cannot be talking about one woman. It's got to be, no woman could fit all those attributes. There's 15 attributes, and no woman could be that perfect that she could do that. I tend to disagree. I think that a woman can perfect that with that meek and quiet spirit. But people, especially the evangelicals, this is impossible for any single woman to do. No single woman could ever fit all those things that Walter Jr. was talking about. I think some of the women here have accomplished that for the most part, and I think they will. And the young sisters, I praise you. The divorce rate in India is 1%. 1%, the divorce rate in India. The verse that you were thinking of, Walter, one of them, well, can he trust us or something? 1%. In this country, it's over 50%, 55%, 50% for, quote, Christians. The divorce rate. In India, it's 1%. 1%. Maybe we should all move to India. Well, not really, no. And the last comment will be, beauty is vain and charm is deceptive. And so, hey, there's going to be a photograph taken today. I told my wife now, you're going to look good for the photograph. She wasn't interested. I think sometimes the men, we could be more interested in on how we look when we get a photograph taken or looking in the mirror. And I don't look in the mirror more than 15 seconds. Maybe I should, though. The Lord be magnified.
Sorry, Robert, you brought up India, so I just will comment. A friend of mine, my mother's, who's from India, she asked one time why the marriages are successful in India versus America, even though they're arranged marriages, most of them. And she said, in India, we love the one you marry, and in America, you marry the one you love. So I think if our perspective changed that way, it might be more successful.